And welcome into Football Happy Hour presented by Blitzalytics.com. Just like last week, I'm that cartoon down in the corner leading this brigade of fools here, if you will. My buddies Jack Bourgeois, Cody Manning, Roy Countryman, all with me this evening. Jack, I come to you first, man. How you doing this evening?
Doing all right. It's been a long, grindy day. I'm ready for it to be over with, but down.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm with you. It's one of those things, right? You get some news and it might change your whole day around. So, Cody, man, we come to you. How you doing, bud?
Oh, man, I'm doing great, even though we had some of the disappointment news that we're going to talk about here shortly come out today. But I think my worst thing that happened today was when I saw Cam Newton officially in a New England Patriots uniform. That was probably my most disappointing thing all today. No, I'm lying. We're going to talk about it. I got thoughts.
Vomitous feelings in the mouth, no doubt. No doubt indeed. And Roy, how are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. Days. My wife had to have some tooth injury taken care of, so been taking care of the family here the last couple of days. So ready to talk some football with my boys.
I swear I would rather you just kick me in the face wearing a golf cleat than deal with teeth pain. That's not something I'm into. Well, we are going to go ahead and get it started, and we're going to jump off into the first quarter today. Obviously, we're going to go ahead and knock it out with the big news. Who knows what's happening with college football? Every 10 minutes, it seems, we are getting an update of who's in, who's out. They're back in. They're not out. No chancellors or presidents voted. We don't know, but it's looking kind of bleak. Roy, I'm going to come to you to start us off, man. What do you think with the whole ordeal going on? I know it's crazy, unprecedented times, and we're getting crazy, unprecedented news.
Yeah, this is absolutely bonkers. 1 minute we're having all the Power 5 teams playing. Next minute we have half of them have already came out and said they aren't playing. The Big Ten and the Pac-12 basically shut it down till spring. The SEC and the ACC are still, bullheaded in their approach, saying they're going to be playing. Big 12 is really the pivot point here. It did just come out before we came on live that as of right now they plan on playing this year, and with maybe a different type of schedule than even previously released. So for a scout at heart, I'm really confused by what all this is going to be going on, because you have guys right now from the FBS level that have already been canceled in the Division III that are getting into the transfer portal, and you're not even sure if they're going to be playing this year. They're going to be getting on new teams, maybe not playing. You have one of the highest rated quarterbacks coming into this year, Trey Lance from North Dakota State. Right now it's scheduled to play this year. So for a scout, I'm kind of heartbroken, but at the same time, just more confused more than anything. Like, why can't we just have one thought process like the NFL and try to move forward? And it's just absolutely bonkers.
It is, and our time reset there. If you're watching us on YouTube, I am doing everything I can to keep Cody the same size, but it is not working, so bear with us. I apologize. It restarted the clock, so we get a little extra time. Well, we're staring right at your shoulder, so we've got a good view. I can't do anything about it right now, so guys, I'm sorry. Enjoy Cody's shoulder and the smooth sounds of his voice. Mayo, let me come to you, because again, like Roy said, this leads to more questions even when we have answers.
Yeah, it's just a very disappointing process that it got to August, and it seems like it was just a rush decision. I don't see why we couldn't have waited this out. Like Roy touched upon, I don't understand why we couldn't have a uniform decision on this. This just shows the lack of leadership at the college level. I'm gonna give my thoughts on it. At the end of the day, this isn't about player safety, especially if they're talking about playing in the spring. This is about money. This is about some of these presidents do not want to spend the money on the protocols at the school, because you can't tell me that then you're about to have about thousands upon thousands of kids walk on the same campus in the fall. And then let's talk about the real thing. The guys deserve money. These guys deserve to be paid. Guess what? If you have these guys come in and play during the pandemic, when that unionization of college athletes does happen, because it will happen if we will ever get college sports again like we once had, they're going to want some money, and you're basically admitting that they're not amateur athletes if they're playing during the pandemic. So I just feel so bad for these coaches, for these players, the recruiting staff, the medical staff that put so much time over these last few months to try to get the season off and see where we can go from there, move forward. And then you're going to just see all the local impact on the bars, the restaurants, the stadium workers. There's so many ripple effects from the decision that was made today. And all I can say is I just pray and hope that the people that were left with no answers of where their life's going to be in the coming months in an already turmoil year, that they get answers sooner than later.
No, absolutely, because on the surface, this affects the colleges and the athletes, right? But as a lot of us know, Jack, you're a bartender. Cody, you're in the service industry as well. It's bar manager. Excuse me. No shade, no shade. But you guys understand how something like that can affect past even the initial effect and what it means for the areas around it. So, Jack, let me come to you now for your initial thoughts on what's going down.
It is depressing. I will steal a little bit from both Cody's and Roy's statements. It is extremely depressing. It's extremely confusing. And yet there's still this little sliver of hope that everything's going to be okay and they're going to find a way to work it out with or without, the Pac-12 or the Big Ten. Who cares? If we can move on without them and we can have this super conference, and have the idea of all the rest of these guys coming together, and then maybe the Big 12 and the 8 adopting some of these other divisions, and then coming together and having, I know they already have schedules set, but just the idea of like a Texas and an OU and an LSU and an Ohio State and a Bama all playing under one division, like if they seceded from the NCAA, which could possibly happen if things get dicey, not saying that it will, but that is a possibility. There is a possibility of the XFL reaping all the benefits from this, and a potential of college football, which is been known to be arguably the most a blatantly corrupt system in the entire United States. I mean, the way that they treat their athletes, and it has been completely about money. I think that it would be a could be a benefit for the XFL and the NFL to join forces and create that D League that we've been talking about for so long.
Right, and you see it's working. It's worked wonders in the NBA. The G League is drawing crowds. Even people are going to see them. The rookies get a shot in the G League every year to go out there and play a little bit. So I'm with you there. The most corrupt. Yep. Maybe number 2 to FIFA, if anybody's a soccer fan. FIFA's the most corrupt thing in the entire world. But right after that is the NCAA.
It's soccer, Rob.
It's like football.
This is America.
Football, not football. Sorry.
I'm getting in trouble for that one. Sorry.
Indeed. But, I'm like I had spoke on the TBB with Jack. I'm one of those guys. I'm not really big into college football, but if you tell me I'm going to get a super conference, Daddy's turning in on Saturdays. That's just what it's going to be. So
I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I highly doubt we're going to get a super conference. I was reading somewhere that I'm sorry, I got to be that guy, but I read, I think it was somewhere on CBS or something, that had due to the contract with the TV network, the Big Ten network, and maybe even the Pac-12 network, that would be the one biggest hurdle for the exclusivity of the teams to be able to play in another conference. So keep an eye on that if you see TV rights and everything like that, if there are special occasions or agreements. But as of my understanding right now, that's one of the biggest hurdles that would kind of, revert back to not being able to join a different conference even for just 1 year.
I mean, that makes sense, right? That TV money is huge amounts of stacks. Like it's gonna be hard to get around some of that. But I do want to touch on something that has been brought up here, is the impact of the XFL, right? And I've heard people, get it going now. That's a little insane. Cool your britches.
No.
There's too much moving parts for the XFL to come in and capitalize, on it now. But in the future, like next season, I'm with Mayo. Like, I'm real doomsday about this. Like, if you lose one, you're going to be hard pressed to get everybody to go back to the way it was after everyone kind of assumed, okay, the athletes need to get paid. Well, now that's a thing that's going to happen. you're going to have to, a lot of schools are losing so much money. Some programs may not come back at all. So I could see the XFL being a beneficiary in that. And could you guys see some of the athletes, like maybe not your upper tier 1 guys, but your tier 2, tier 3 guys, maybe look to that in the next year or two?
I mean, I put it out there the other day. Like, I definitely think so. You brought it up, Rob. If the XFL and The Rock want to adapt the G League concept, where you're not only going to pay the players, but you also give them an academic scholarship, you give them life lessons, you have them grow as a player and help them develop. And if you want to just accept you're not going to take on the NFL and you can become a developmental league for the NFL, there's opportunity here. And, you know, I've been talking about this all day with people, but you got to think, what kid is going to want to go play for the Big Ten or Pac-12 schools knowing like that, hey, we understand the risk. We want to play football, but we're not going to listen to you as an athlete. XFL can be like, listen, you can come to our way. We're going to provide you money and education, life, all the life lessons they can do like the G League does. And then if you're ready to take that next step to the NFL, you're going to get drafted. And Roy can talk about this because he put something out there today as well on this.
Yeah, I'm all over that. The XFL, we're not going to see it immediately. I think at earliest you'd see it maybe January, February. But even at that, you're talking about the same time frame as probably the springtime with the college leagues coming on. And the XFL, Cody hit it, squarely on the head. If these guys have an opportunity even to make, money that to all four of us would be mind-boggling, and still have an opportunity to go get your college degree, help set yourself up as a man, and life, and structure yourself and be able to take care of your family. Why would you want to go play for a college atmosphere that's basically profiting off of you and getting nothing in return? So they have as bad as it sounds, going bankrupt might have been the best thing for the XFL because now they got a fresh start. All this happened now under the umbrella of them failing. They have new leadership that really can relate to a lot of these guys in the XFL. We talked about it last episode here. The Rock was one of them guys. He went to Miami, Florida. He couldn't cut in the NFL. He went and played in the CFL and only played, I believe it was a week or two until he got cut, and then he started wrestling. So he really has a relatable type story here to a lot of these guys. And even in the losing aspect of the one season, it benefited by showing the history. They had a player drafted to the NFL, Kenny Robinson from West Virginia. It had an issue come up where he was ineligible and suspended, mostly because he was trying to take care of his mother that had cancer. He actually got drafted by the Panthers in the 5th round this past year. So you already have the proof in the pudding that the talent evaluators aren't just going to stick with the college level players. They'll take these developmental leagues, really vet them out, and go for it. So why would you not at least get paid somewhat and still go get your, education?
Yeah, that, and the NFL knows how bankable Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is. Like, he is the most bankable personality, I think, in this country. You can guarantee you stick his name on something, people are going to eat it up like cakes. It's just what it is. Jack, we got about 4.5 minutes left here. I come to you. Do you have anything else you want to say about it?
It's just, we think about like the Joe Burrows of the world, like what's going to happen to these guys that don't get that year of shine. They don't get, so many opportunities are going to be missed here. It is extremely sad, more so for the players. Obviously this is something that we cover for a living. This is our jobs. This is like, as owners of Blitz, this is literally our futures on the line, but the same can be said for these players. And so I hope that the XFL can now, especially under, like you guys said, with somebody who has gone through the ranks, who has tried, who knows what it feels like to be one of these players. I hope that the XFL can provide that opportunity from them come this next year, possibly for any of these Big Ten guys that didn't get to play, or Big 12, sorry. I've been doing that all week. But it's just sad. It really is. There's no other way to put it. Like COVID and quarantine and 2020 is, I know we're trying to not cuss on this show, so but you know what it is. Like it's been a what. It's rough in every form and fashion for everybody. From people that are trying to operate and run hair salons to the football field. having effect, and I'm fingers crossed that everything else goes smoothly and that the NFL can keep everything, on the tracks.
Well, right now, too, it's really putting in jeopardy of one of our main things we covered, the NFL draft. Right now, the CBA only will allow them to move it to the first week in June. So June 2nd would be the last date that they're allowed to do it unless there's a concession made. So you're talking about spring football. What type of draft prospect's going to want to play in spring football? They're going to be playing basically 2 seasons worth of game in a calendar year. It's not feasible. Even these guys we're talking about maybe having a season, they're not going to want to play with the chance of injury that close to getting onto an NFL football field if you have the talent.
And to add to that, all I just wanted to vent is I know the NFL likes to take their times with things, but this is something they have to decide now.
Right.
Like they need to decide what they got to give these kids at least a path of where they can go over these next 8 to 9 months. It's going to be interesting, though. I will say this: I trust Roy scouting, I trust Jack scouting, and if we don't really get much tape this year, it's really going to separate.
Yeah,
some
the
people
men from the boys in the
this
scouting
year.
department,
Yes.
no doubt. And again, Jack brought up the name that I want to. You want to talk about how crazy this is going to be? Had this happened last year, Joe Burrow's not the number 1 pick. Plain
He
and
may
simple.
not have even been
He
drafted.
may not have. Right? Yeah, exactly. Go ahead on that.
The
Jack.
past 3 years,
That's
Kyler
true.
Murray and Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Yeah, they became
They're
number 1
they're
picks
all
this season.
1 year. I mean, we can't call them 1 year wonders, but I mean, they literally had one crazy good season. They all, especially Kyler Murray and Baker, I mean, they followed each other back to back.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane what we would have lost.
They always had the talent.
So that
was the one year they capitalized.
if you guys are GMs, then does this devalue draft picks, and are you shipping those things out like you wouldn't
It's
believe?
already started. Look at the Seahawks. If you want
the
to,
Seahawks suck with their
yes,
first round picks anyways.
Yes
True,
and
but
no,
it's-
because
You're throwing away hope.
I'm honestly thinking, guys, we're going to see a draft unlike we've seen in the last probably 20 to 30 years. Due to this situation, I would not be surprised if we take a picture out of, say, the 1970s to 1992 where there's 12 rounds. I would not be surprised. I mean, the Steelers GM last year even broached the topic with the issues at the end of the year where they wanted more picks. He tried to pitch it to the NFL leadership to have more pick agency. I would not be surprised we see an expanded draft come in 2021 simply because of the lack of tape, lack of exposure, and who knows what's even going to happen with the All-Star games. It's written in the CBA that they must have 3 weeks for the All-Star games, the Combine, and the draft. So, June 2nd, but you're looking at a time frame here of a month and a half that you're really going to have to cram a lot of stuff
Those discussions have already happened, too, because they're already talking about asking for more interview time and all this stuff if it does everything gets postponed.
What happens to the Combine? What happens to the Senior Bowl? I mean, what happens to the East-West Shrine? I mean, it can either be pushed back, and if the NFL doesn't conform, then it leaves these kids out to dry.
Yeah.
It certainly does. That's going to wrap up the first quarter, guys. We could go on and on about the CFB, and I'm sure we will on our own individual Twitters. You'll see mass amounts of us trying to figure out what is going on, just trying to make sense of it. So, again, let's move on here to topic 2. We'll jump into the second quarter. Let's talk about some win differentials and what teams were good that aren't going to be as good and weren't as good that could be better this year. Roy, no, I started with you last time. Let's go with Mayo this time. Mayo, hit me with your biggest differentials that you've got.
Take right away.
Let's hear it. Hotter the better. Hotter the better. Let's hear it.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and say the 40 hangover, and they're going to be a letdown. They already lost Deebo Samuel for, 6 to 8 weeks, and he has a Lisfranc injury, which could drag on throughout the season. So, receiving core that has lack of experience can the most starts among that group, if I am correct. I don't like the depth in their secondary. If all of a sudden Richard Sherman falls on the age, if all of a sudden injuries happen, their secondary gets weaker. And the Seahawks the 49ers, I'm sorry, the Seahawks, the Cardinals, and the Rams are all going to be competitive in that division in an already competitive conference. Playoffs, I'm just saying, like, I would not be surprised if they don't win as many games and they have that Super Bowl hangover, which typically happens every year.
How many games are they going to lose? Like, how many wins are they going to lose? That's how.
So they won 30 last year. I could easily see them being 9-7, 8-8, all the way to 6-10.
I mean, it is traditionally that division just beats the crap out of each other. When there's a good team, they lose to the lesser teams in the division. We just play each other tight. I could see it. It is hot. It's a hot take, dude. That is muy caliente, as my friends would say. So I'm with it because, as a Rams fan, anytime the Niners suffer, it's glory to me. So, Jack, I come to you. You ain't got nothing that hot, but come on, man. What do you got?
I'm not too far off, but I mean, this is one that I don't think is a hot take by any means. The Packers last year, I could see them losing. I could see them going 8-8 and even still be in that playoff contention. 9-7 even when we did our record predictions, but they didn't add any weapons offensively. They didn't get stronger really in any positional group. They botched the draft. I mean, I say that. Love the Jordan Love pick. We say that, yes. But so, I mean, there's an asterisk there. But they did definitely botch it. For this year, at least, they botched this draft. Like, they are not going to be good this year. A.J. Dillon makes zero sense. I mean, none of this makes sense. And then the one wide receiver they go and grab, and Devin Funches, who wasn't even that good to begin with, is now not going to be on the field because he is opted out because of COVID. So where did they get better? Where did they get stronger? The team that Cody just mentioned, I mean, they got by the Niners. The Niners didn't even have to throw the ball. Like, it was just embarrassing. I mean, that was one of the most pathetic playoff games I have ever seen. So if the Niners move down to 9-7 or 8-8, then I can only imagine how bad they'd still beat the Packers, and the Packers would have to be a below 500 team, which I just don't see happening. Sticking up for my Niners friends back home. I think the Niners are going to be just fine this year. He is right, though. I mean, they are light on the back end of that defense. Everywhere else, they're pretty set and stacked, solid. Wide receiver core, I think, is going to be this guy named Jalen Hurd that nobody's heard about is going to be a baller. And they've got a run game. They don't need wide receivers to start off. There by week 8, week 10, they'll be just fine. But I think they said he's going to be back a lot earlier than that. It could be lingering, like Cody said. I mean, he's not lying, but he ain't right.
I mean, and again, it's I mean, traditionally, here lately over the last decade or so, that's what happens, right? The Super Bowl loser just implodes for some reason. Something always happens, even if there's still a good team to bounce back the next year. Something. I feel like
it's a. Yeah, they're a great team. Don't get me wrong. I love the roster, but I did like I said, I already pointed out the holes, and you guys already know my feelings on Jimmy Garoppolo, so I don't need to go into that too much.
Jimmy Garoppolo,
quarterback, and that's all they need.
Yeah. Well,
oh man, I love that you guys are reading my script right now.
I know, right? I was gonna go
reading
Packers.
My script on two of the teams.
I love what Jack said about the Packers. What'd you do? You added Bunchus of Funchess, who said no thank you to football this season and pissed off Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones. Good job, Packers. Real good job there. So, like, I would have picked the Packers as well. But Roy, do you have a third team for us?
Well, as bad as it seems like with the Packers, and I'm not going to mention his team because it's low-hanging fruit, but to see Aaron Rodgers be ticked off and the New England Patriots fall apart, it's just like I woke up from a perfect dream. So, but for me, I'm going with another team from the NFC. It's kind of funny we're all picking teams from the NFC, but the NFC West even. My Arizona Cardinals. We're not going 5-10 this year. We're going 10-6. I think we're going to be booting the San Francisco 49ers out. And we're going to have the Seahawks and them battling out for that division out west. I love the makeup of Kyler Murray. Year 2, we're going for Hopkins and Fitzgerald.
I've said it on the breakdown multiple times now. Kyler Murray for MVP 2020, y'all. That's just what's happening.
Yeah, I'm just opposite of you guys on that.
I thought we were doing our negatives and then our positives. Like, about positives, teams are going to do better.
Roy, as always, let's get positive first. So, Roy, do you have a loser? Because you did jump right into winners.
Yes. I did. Okay, my loser, Houston Texans. What are you doing? Bill O'Brien is running the ship right to the first overall pick this coming year. You haven't even re-signed Deshaun Watson yet. Oh, and whenever you're looking, he's going to be on IR probably on week 6, Mr. And Brandon Cooks. Oh, let's get another breakdown receiver. I'm sorry. You got rid of one of the best receivers in football for a broken down, almost 30-year-old running back and 2 wide receivers. Wait, scratch that. 3 wide receivers. Will Fuller. If you're counting on Will Fuller to carry your offense, we got issues. He's got talent, but that guy, he's like a break sooner or later.
Yeah, B.O.B. has done everything he can to tank the Houston Texans. Let's just start it again here. Free J.J. Watt. Got to get him in Pittsburgh. We need this to happen. Come on, Bill. Do something else stupid, and let's do this. You already heard Roy take the Cardinals. That's a good one. Obviously, I'm on that bandwagon too, which sucks because they're in the same division as my Rams. But Kyler's that guy. So let me come to you, Jack. Who gains the most wins in your eyes this season?
Well, I don't want to continuously talk about my Bucks in every segment and every show, so I'm gonna stay away from that one right there. You already picked the Cardinals. I don't know if you guys know this, but you better have 3, at least minimum of 3 options to talk about because they're typically going to get stolen on this show. So I'm going with I'm actually Redskins.
The Washington football team, sir.
Oh,
10 push-ups. 10 push-ups right now.
I'll get them at the end of the show. All right, just give me a second. The Washington football team got it.
Stupidest name.
I am a terrible person. Cancel culture is going to get me here soon. The Washington football team, led by Alex Smith, I think is going to get between 3 to 4 to maybe even 5 more wins than they had before. I really do think. I mean, again, Cardinals are probably the number 1 team for sure that are going to jump up. But I really could see under Alex Smith only. If they roll with Dwayne Haskins, I don't see it happening. But a few weapons on just that defense. The defensive line is stacked and stout. I could see with Alex Smith, he equals 3 to 4 more wins than Dwayne Haskins does.
Not mad at that. Hey, Jack's been on Alex's bandwagon this whole time. So kudos to Alex for getting back to the point where we can have this discussion. I just hope he can
stay if he does play. I just don't know if I'd be nervous after coming off a broken leg playing behind that Washington O-line. I would be nervous.
They didn't have Trent Williams. I mean, they still have Sheriff? They still have a few other guys. They still
haven't done anything. It's not like they've done anything.
I mean, you're talking about trying to find a team that's going to win more games. I mean, when you're that bad, you're definitely going to win some more games if you keep adding pieces in the draft, and they did pretty good.
You could pick anyone in that division too, right? Like
Candyman.
Washington has to be better because they were pretty terrible last year. The Giants are going to be better because they were pretty rough last year. And the Eagles and Cowboys were scratching for 500. So somebody in that division is the right answer here. Like, it just has to be. Cody, who you got making waves positively?
It's pretty simple. I'm going with the team that I feel like is getting what the Cardinals hype is getting right now. Last year is the Browns. Here, they got a better offensive line. They got 2-headed tandem in the backfield. They got OBJ, Jarvis Landry. I like what they got in their defense, and I think they're going to win at least 3 or 4 more games and sneak in as at least a wild card out of the North. I think the North is. I think we talked about this last week or on another pod. I think the North is going to put 2 to 3 teams in the playoffs this year. It's going to be highly competitive, but I expect them to finish over 500. And if they don't, that really does mean that, unfortunately, Baker Mayfield was a letdown after going number 1 overall. And
if they struggle, do you start planning for post-Baker?
Why, sure.
Yeah, I mean, if he's throwing as many interceptions as he had. But they have an improved line. That's why I feel like the Cardinals are going to be this year's Browns because you got the You got the quarterback coming off his great rookie year, all the hype around him. They get the big name wide receiver. They have some defense, not a fully set defense. And then you got a terrible offensive line that had their right tackle just opt out because of COVID. So I think the Cardinals are going to be competitive but winning more games. I just don't see it happening.
I'm just going to throw this out here. My hot take: the Cleveland Browns are the Ryan Tannehill dilemma of. We're going to see Case Keenum be taking over that team by week 6, week 7.
Case Keenum couldn't even beat out Dwayne Allen.
That's fine. We'll wait and see when Mayfield has twice as many.
Man,
I think
that is
Mayfield's
rough
gonna
for the
take
Browns fans, dude. Roy's just
You
crapping on Browns
but
fans.
you forget Baker Mayfield has the rookie touchdown record in like 14 games. This whole nonsense
Hey,
people could be.
And that was without OBJ.
Hey, Anderson made a Pro Bowl in Cleveland, but nobody remembers him. So
I remember.
Just saying, Baker Mayfield is not your franchise quarterback.
Wow, dude. The Baker hate is strong with this
I
one.
mean, is it biased when he's got a Steelers flag?
Yeah, right. I was going to
him?
point that out. It was like you kind of see why right behind Roy, Steeler Nation in the house. Another team that's getting talked about, we didn't bring up here, but Denver Broncos. I want to go around the horn real quick and get your guys' legitimate take, because I know Jack is a hater of the lock. Wow, excuse me. Sorry, Cody. I didn't mean to bring up bad memories.
It's almost been a year anniversary.
Right, yeah. Jack doesn't believe in Drew Lock, so do we believe that the Denver Broncos as a whole could take a step forward? Their defense is insane. They get Bradley Chubb back. They added some nice pieces in Bouye and Jarrell Casey. You've got another piece on the offense that already had nice weapons. Could the Denver Broncos be one of those teams?
I'll go ahead and jump on this. I definitely think so. Now obviously they lost their right tackle Juwan James, but they did sign DeMar Dotson today officially. So I have questions about their offensive line, but man, they got some serious weapons in their skill position players. Really pick up the offense fast, and if Drew Lock can take that next step, I mean, they got an offense that can put up points. We saw what they did down in Houston last year when Houston was rolling last year. They went down there and kicked their ass. And then they went and got Jarrell Casey for a 7th-round pick, which is an absolute steal. Their defensive front, is right up there, and probably I'd have to take a look at them really quick. Casey comes on, it's one of the top 5, at least right on the edge of 5 defensive fronts in the NFL. A little worried about their secondary with the loss of Chris Harris this year.
Roy, how do you think about them Broncos?
I think they're about the same. But their offense, they got better playmakers, but they really didn't address a lot on their offensive line. The interior, they got Cushenberry, which I know we were kind of so on. They signed Graham Glass now. But their tackles are, Garrett Bowles led the league in holding penalties last year. Now it's going to be, I forget the guy's name. It's not going to be DeMar Dotson. He's going to be battling it out with Wilkinson for right tackle right now. So it's one of the things that unless he takes that step forward, I think John Elway should be out there playing the trade market before the deadline. If Alex Smith is healthy, if you put Alex Smith in this offense, wow. Now you're talking about legitimate playoff contender. Drew Lock, I think right now, even a good year from Drew Lock, you're looking at 7-9, same as this past season. But if they could get
let's get it
baby
over to
step,
you, Jack.
maybe 8-8.
You got about a couple seconds here. Broncos, good, getting better or no?
They should get better, and Drew Lock should do good, but I just don't believe in him. I really don't. Accuracy is such an issue. Arm strength is not what makes a player in football. His first 2 games were not the end-all, be-all.
No, I can understand, man. I understand it. So that's going to wrap it up for the second quarter. We're going to take a real quick break. We're going to hit you with the commercial for this prospect encyclopedia that you have got to be getting your hands on, and we'll be right back with you. All right, I have no clue what's happening, man. I am having issues all the way around. My computer hates me today. So no commercial for the book. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Roy here sell you on the book. Roy, give me a couple of minutes about why they need to buy this book from us.
All right, football fans, fantasy football fans, if you just want to look smart around the water cooler, talking shop with your friends, you want the Blitzalytics Prospect Encyclopedia, the first edition. You want to make sure you get ready to sign up for your email there. Get us in contact with you so we can get that link as soon as it drops. We're going to be getting you a preview of one of the teams probably by tomorrow morning, so keep a lookout for that, the Super Bowl champs. We're giving you all the breakdown of the team decision makers, the best players, the top 11 players, the best 10 picks from the last 10 years. We're giving you all the important people that are in the front office names if you're not familiar with them. We're giving you all the recap of the offseason. And then we're going deep into those players that have yet to break out within the last 3 draft classes or some special cases, maybe like an XFL player or CFL player here or there. And we're giving you their grades on their traits for the top 7 players, a present and future grade. We're giving you grades on 8 through 22 of a present and future projection. We're giving you insight on their skill set, what their chances are of making the roster. We're giving you depth charts, which may be a little bit out of date because this was submitted at the end of July, and all the opt-outs. We know COVID likes to mess with us this year, just like this broadcast. So you want to make sure you sign up. You can get it in PDF form, the entire version. You can get it in hardback version, and we're going to be selling it by team PDF. So make sure you keep in tune for that. Make sure that you get all this, and you're going to be looking at a winning chance, especially if you're a dynasty player. This is the must-go-to guide for you this season.
Yeah, and if there's ever a season where you need deeper player pools for fantasy, it feels like this one, man. So we got you covered. And those two fine gentlemen up at the top of your screen also wrote in the book. So I want to thank everybody for doing that. These 3 especially went out of their way to give you a fine product coming very, very soon. Like Roy said, I believe we're going to be dropping the Chiefs one tomorrow to celebrate their championship win, even though as a Missourian, I am sick to death of hearing about the Chiefs winning a Super Bowl. Can we talk about anything else in this state? So let's go ahead then, jump back into quarter number 3. We are moving into the discussion of Hard Knocks making its return to the Rams. This time, it's not the transition to LA, but we're in LA. You also, I guess, get the Chargers. There's like 10 fans of the Chargers who care. So Chargers and Rams are Hard Knocks. We got no preseason, so it kind of feels like this is our preseason, right, Jack?
All right, we lost him. Might have lost him for a second, but or I can't hear him. Can you guys hear me?
I can't hear him either.
All right.
Nope. Well, you guys hear me now?
Now we can hear you.
Okay. All right. So again, I don't know what happened there. Again, this is just chock full of mistakes. So blame me, everybody. But again, it kind of feels like we're going to have no preseason. So Hard Knocks feels like our preseason this year, right, Jack?
Yeah. At least we get something. I mean, what?
Tonight.
Tonight.
Yep.
I got to get myself a subscription of HBO now. Awesome. But, I mean, I'll definitely be watching it. I will be tuning in, that's for sure. If any football is good football, like if there was a Pop Warner game playing down the street or a town over, I would be there right now. Like, give me football by any means necessary is the approach. I'm really interested to see this year. It's cool that they're doing 2 teams. No offense, Rob, but I could care less about seeing the Rams again. There's not a whole lot of personalities left on that team that we don't already know. I think the lack of Gurley, the lack of Brandon Cooks, the lack of some of those personalities is going to make this kind of a lackluster. But on the other side, the Los Angeles Chargers, I'm stoked to see the dynamic between Tyrod Taylor and Justin Herbert. I'm excited to see what Austin Eckler does now as kind of the lead back role, and getting in the respect he gets. Mike Williams, what is he on the last year of his rookie deal? Looking to make some money. He's been this deep ball, big threat wide receiver. I want to see what goes on behind the scenes between him and Keenan Allen as a 1-2 punch. You've got Hunter Henry. I'll shut up after this and let these guys talk about this illustrious defense with Bosa and all these other guys. But you've got so many personalities and you've got so many storylines going into the Chargers. the Chargers, and I would have been happy. The fact they're doing 2 teams, and I know I kind of crapped on your team a little bit, but it's cool that there's just going to be that much more content to go around.
There is, and I get exactly what you mean. Like, we're not going to learn anything from watching the Rams and Hard Knocks. Like, you're just not.
Maybe Jalen Ramsey's personality.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say which quarterbacks Jalen Ramsey calls trash this year, maybe, but you're not going to get the answers you want from the backfield and what percentage Cam Akers is getting. But what you can get is what Jack talked about. That relationship. Is Tyrod really progressing with the other receivers and Austin Eckler? And if he is, how do you give Herbert the starting job to me? So I'm with Jack. You're going to learn a whole mess of a lot more about the Chargers than you will about the Rams. And that, as a Rams fan, I'm happy I get to see Aaron Donald a little bit more this year, I guess. And maybe that's it. So Mayo, let me come to you, man. I know you're looking forward to Hard Knocks.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my shows I look forward to every year. Their intro song, you got like the water sprinklers going at the beginning, and it's like, all right, football's here. I'm excited to see how this turns out. I'm kind of interested to see how they, develop a 2-team episode in an hour. So I'm like, are you gonna mix your like both teams throughout the episode, or you go like half and half? And another thing too, I've heard people brought up this point is we're not going to get your typical tropes that we get all training camp, because this year is going to be different. It's virtual meetings. It's COVID-19. So like, I'm interested to see the behind the scene plans. Like, how are they meeting? How are they doing the testing? You know what I'm saying? I want to see all that stuff, how they're mitigating, fighting against it. You hear all these stories about and see all these videos of how teams are doing it. I don't think I've seen anything on the Rams and Chargers and how exactly they're using their facilities. So I'm excited to see that. Excited to see some of these rookies, like Van Jefferson. I was a big fan of him at the Senior Bowl, seeing him practice live. So I can't wait to see what he does. We're speaking of, I'm gonna try to hype up your Rams since Jack trashed them, but we got a running back, right? A committee backfield that are between Cam Akers, Malcolm Brown, and what's that kid's name?
Darrell Henderson.
Darrell Henderson. They're going to be battling it out. Shoot, John Kelly. I like him as a talent. So you're going to see guys fighting for snaps. I'm very interested though, seeing like how, because like right now they're like kind of meeting, if I understand, and then this week is about to be the ramp up period, and then I think they start practicing here shortly. Maybe you can help me out, Roy, and speak on the Hard Knocks.
They had already, as far as I understand right now, this past week was kind of like walkthroughs. They were able to actually get out on the practice field and do basic kind of stuff, but not a lot of any hitting or anything like that. So you'll probably be seeing them going throughout their first meetings together, going through maybe some walkthrough by positional groups, basically that kind of stuff. For me, you guys basically already stole the thunder. The LA Rams, I'm not really, as much as I like, they're kind of old news per se, but the Chargers,
bite your tongue,
it's
sir.
just being, I'm sorry. But as far as personality, I want to see the personality be built around this team. Anthony Lynn is, by all accounts, a player's coach. I want to see his approach now, as Cody was saying, in this kind of different environment, how he can get hands-on and really motivate guys in different techniques. And a lot of these guys, you don't know their personalities. Keenan Allen is one of the best-kept secrets in the NFL as long as he's healthy. He's one of the best route runners, best receivers we have. Mike Williams is a stud. Just throw the ball up and go get it. You have one of the Pouncey brothers and Mike Pouncey. They're always a handful from knowing Marquise Pouncey with Pittsburgh. They love playing practical jokes and messing around with people. I want to see, the silent assassin. Is Justin Herbert going to slowly start creeping up in the reps? And is Tyrod Taylor really going to take him under the wing? Or are we going to see Joey Bosa act like a meathead all the time? I want to see his personality really take effect. All we know is his dominance on the field. Is he going to show that character with his teammates and maybe get some laughs and jokes around everybody? And make sure you keep an eye out for their one youngster, the linebacker, Kenneth Murray. He was one of the heart and soul players on Oklahoma for that defense for the last 2 years. Really keep an eye on him. I think he's going to be a guy that might steal the show.
I couldn't agree more with what you guys have said. I do want to give a shout out to our chat. We got some guys on Facebook tuned in. L. Bushman said, "Great show, homies." So shout out to the Bushman himself. Also, Rance Gardner tuned in. Mayo, we got a Rance sighting here. He says he agrees about the Chargers being more interesting, and then he wants to crap on my Rams too by saying, "Let's see if Goff can speak full sentences by now." I'm not holding out hope, Rance. I'm not holding out hope at all.
He might know which way the sun settles, though.
I guarantee you somebody asked him that episode 1. Tonight, somebody will ask him just because it's a throwback to that season. So another thing I'm interested in, especially, like I said, the Chargers are just so much more interesting to me. I'm curious to see Austin Eckler moving into the lead dog role where he's played second fiddle his whole career. He's now the dude down there. I love that little jitterbug. That guy can get anywhere super quick. I love that guy. But another thing that I hadn't considered yet, Mayo broached the topic on, and it's seeing how clubs are going to interact with the COVID thing, right? And I'm curious to see how football Twitter explodes, whether they think they're doing it right or not, and the conversations that come from that. I think the way teams are handling COVID may be the central thing that we learn from this. Am I wrong?
Not at all. Not at all. I think that's the underlying story of all of this, is getting to see what millions of dollars worth of money spent looks like from an NFL standpoint in terms of combating COVID. You know, are they going to be walking through those specific, ultraviolet lights, like when they walk in? Like, how are they going to be sanitized? How is everything? You're going to see that. I think the NFL is going to push that episode 1 more than any name, more than any player, more than anything. They're going to show the world, hey, look, we are being safe. We are wiping. We are forcing people to wash their hands. Whatever it may be, I expect that to be the story of tomorrow's news cycle.
Do you think that it could do enough, Cody, to maybe change some opinions on if we should or should not have the NFL season?
Are you asking the NFL or college football? You cut
NFL,
off like right at
the NFL.
Okay.
When we see what we see and how the Rams and Chargers are handling COVID, do you think that could change the public perception? I know there's some people that are so extreme you can't, but people in the middle, do you think that we could see?
I mean, I definitely think so. I mean, the Colts put out a video like earlier this week or at the end of last week. It's like a 3-minute video on basically what they're doing. And I was just like, wow, like they're really going over and beyond. I know Peter King did the Vikings part. I know I seen like a video, like Jack kind of hinted at some of the stuff where like the Broncos players are walking through like this mist that they walk through. The studies have shown that like UV light, sunlight kills this thing pretty quickly. I think it's like less than 30 minutes. And like the Miami Dolphins have like this UV light like in their infiltration system to try to kill it through the air. So yeah, like if people see that the NFL's going over and beyond to protect their players, like there should be positive things to be said about that. Now, whether the players can, stay away from contracting the disease when they leave the facilities, that will be on the players. But if the NFL teams are doing everything that they can to protect the players when they are, like, I won't say in control of the players, but when they have the players in the organization, then that should be applauded, in my opinion.
Roy, what do you think, man? Could we get maybe a swell of change of opinion here?
Yeah, I think if anything, you're going to see what like-minded people that want to drive something home and have a like-minded approach can really get done. I think it might be a stepping stone for a lot of other businesses, maybe, NCAA, to take notice of the way people work together. Sorry, I had a frog in my throat. And it really should be all about keeping everybody as safe as possible. We know people are going to get, positive tests throughout the duration of the season, but it's really just limiting that, and with the entirety of the virus that we have, it basically comes down to common sense. I don't want to skip out to a different different sport, but we just seen an occurrence with baseball after they had the issues they did to try to start the season. They had 2 players for the Cleveland Indians sent 2 of their prominent pitchers home because they went out after a start. And the team is really coming down hard on him, and a lot of people are giving him grief about it. But, that's really where the approach of all these clubs have to come from. It's really team first identity. You can't be selfish about anything. We know that there's going to be positive tests, but as a young adult of any of these teams, you really have to take that kind of responsibility on yourself and say, I know the risks. As long as we're trying to flatten the curve and make the best out of the situation and limit the amount of exposure of anything we can, why can't we have football? We know the risk. Most of the percentage of people that do contract it are able to overcome it. Not saying that, COVID isn't a bad thing and there isn't cases where it does affect people. But we're really seeing the group efforts and a lot of great minds and their initiatives coming together in the NFL. I really hope it's just kind of a model that a lot of other companies can maybe take from it.
No, you're right. It does. A certain amount of this comes down to personal responsibility. We've seen the NBA thrive in the bubble. Other than Lou Williams needing his chicken wings from the script club, it's been pretty good. In the MLB, not so much. So a lot of it does come down to personal responsibility. But Jack, he brought up the NCAA. Is there any way, and again, this is going to be a big stretch here, but is there any way that if we see the NFL doing the right thing, that you could see college football maybe say, you know what, we're going to give it a go? Because a lot of Americans are just non-believers, right? We don't believe, especially now, until we see it with our own two eyes. Do you think anything that could happen on Hard Knocks could affect NCAA decisions over the coming week?
I don't know. I think the minds are already have been made up as per the conferences. We could see them try to get back to it sooner than spring. I just think spring is just so unrealistic, and it puts a wrench in the gears for everything, for the players, for the NFL, for college football. Messes with the schedule. What are you expecting the players to then play, just a few months later? If they play in the spring, are they going back to a fall league? Is everything going to change? I don't think so. I think people are stuck in their ways, and the reason, it has to do with money, but they are taking into consideration what their doctors, what their medical professionals are telling them, and having to make educated decisions. So I try in this time, in this day and age, to not believe or not, I try to read through the tea leaves and just see what happens and what comes of it. Who knows? That's the only answer I have. Who knows if they turn it around just from seeing some ultraviolet light? If they do, then shame on them for not doing their diligence to begin with. Actually,
right. Yeah,
I
was going to have to say like that's on them if they're. I'm sorry, Jack. I was just going to say I'll really quickly. That's on them if they would see a video then change their mind, because I've been listening to a lot of podcasts lately with Dr. Sills, a lead NFL doctor who's been on there, and he's literally been saying since March about how not only they're having conversations, but they're talking to NHL league official doctors, MLB, NBA, Premier League, all the sports leagues that are in different countries that are going on right now. All those lead doctors have been having conversations. So if the NCAA didn't do the due diligence to be involved in those conversations, then that's on them.
No, very, very, very true. Let's end this on a happy note here. Just a fun little thing here. Which one of these teams has a better record by the end of the year, Rams or Chargers?
Oh God! If you gave
okay,
you know my answer. I'm going to go Rams. I have to.
The Chargers are such a better team, but the quarterback position is just so questionable.
I don't know, because Tyrod Taylor.
I think the Chargers are a better roster, and I think they have a better path to the second seed in their division. You know what I'm saying? Everybody kind of feels like in the NFC West, maybe not the Rams, but everybody could probably compete for the first seed. So,
yeah, I'm gonna have to go Chargers on that.
Roy, Chargers,
the
Rams.
Rams messed around and went 9-7 last year.
It's true.
I'm honestly going to say the Chargers, and don't sleep on Tyrod Taylor if he don't get beat out, because when he's in Buffalo, he took a team with a lot less talent to the playoffs.
Yes, he did.
Yes,
and if there is anything, there is mass amounts of talent in Los Angeles for the Chargers. but some questions too. But the Rams are still going to be better because I want them to be. Let's move on into the fourth quarter, where we're going to discuss some of our favorite new faces in new places. Guys that moved around during free agency. I guess if you really want to throw a draft pick out there, there's no rules that says you can't. But let me come to you first, Jack. Who's your dude with a new view this year?
Oh, it's got to be Tom Brady. I mean, come on now.
We kind of knew that was coming.
I can't get through an episode without talking about Tom Brady. It's got to be Tom Brady. I mean, if you turn on the TV every single day, they're talking about it. But we've talked about it enough. So I'm going to be rude, and I'm going to throw this one out there. Deforest Buckner. I'm going to steal that one from Cody. I think Buckner, although I did completely agree with the replacement of Javon Kinlaw for DeForest Buckner, me and Roy both agree that coming in year one, DeForest Buckner is a grown man, or Javon Kinlaw is a grown man to what Buckner was coming out, and will likely have a bigger, better career. Maybe not necessarily this one, but having that interior presence or that guy that can play literally across the line for the Colts is going to open things up for Darius Leonard. It's going to make his life easier. It's going to give the secondary more time. I mean, he was one of the best. He's been one of the most underrated best players in the league for probably the last 3 straight years. And nobody talks about him. He never gets any credit. So this is where I'm going to give the credit, and credit is due.
Not mad at you. Cody, since he stole one of your dudes, let's go to you, man. Who you got?
One dude that I've been a big fan of since he entered the NFL, and I think he's really going to help open up the offense that he went to, is Stefan Dix of the Bills. If Josh Allen can improve his deep ball accuracy and hit up more on those deep balls, I think that Bills offense is going to really take it to the next level. Just because you're talking about how great of a route runner and how great separation that Diggs can get on routes, that's going to help out the playing style of Josh Allen. And I think Diggs is going to be Diggs had really no reason, I guess, to be unhappy in Minnesota, but I think one of the things that he was unhappy about was Kirk Cousins is more of a guy that's not going to just chuck it just to chuck it. We saw last year, Josh Allen will chuck it 40 yards down the field to a fullback and give him the opportunity. So I think that's going to really play to Diggs, and they're going to get along. And I just think that's going to open up things not only for John Brown, who's a deep ball threat, that's going to open up things for the under routes for Cole Beasley to work the slot. That Dawson Knox is a really solid receiving tight end plug here. Check out the prospect encyclopedia. I did the Bills. He's my number 3 prospect on that I wrote about. He's going to see more open lanes in the seams. And then you got like Zach Moss and Devin Singletary in the backfield, and they got a solid offensive line because from last year they gelled, and now they're all going to be back this year. So I think that the Bills' offense is going to be really fun to watch this year with Diggs being added there into the receiving corps.
Rance is not happy that you mentioned that guy.
I'm sure he's not. Once you said he was listening in, I'm like, oh, God, he's going to
he's going to be angry at the talk of former Vikings. No, I love that. I absolutely love that pick, Cody. What about you, Roy? Who's your guy?
All right, for me, I'm going to go back to a situation I kind of harken back to here. I'm not going Case Keenum because I think there's 2 opportunities this season that we see a type of event happen like that. And this guy is the guy I think is going to be starting sooner than Baker Mayfield is benched. It's Marcus Mariota in the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm sorry, I'm not a Derek Carr fan, but that offense with John Gruden at the helm, they have Josh Jacobs in the backfield. We have Henry Ruggs. You got Darren Waller in that offense. I think that RPO-type offense with that offensive line, I think you could definitely see a playoff-type run with that type of ability if you can add that dynamic to an already distinguished offense, an up-and-coming defense. That's going to be a fun team to watch. I've never been sold on Derek Carr, and Marcus Mariota has his question marks too, but I think there could be a little lightning in the bottle there and a little bit of surprise coming from Las Vegas.
One's an extremely accurate quarterback, and one's an extremely inaccurate quarterback.
That's fine.
Just throw that out there.
I mean, I'd love to see Mariota get some run in Vegas. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not at Roy's spot about it, but I'll stay in Las Vegas for my pick though, and it's Corey Littleton. I wanted no part of him leaving my Rams. Every time I watched him, it didn't even matter. Every Rams game, the guy was, if he didn't get the tackle, I promise he was standing right there by the time the play was done. The guy is always around the ball. The Raiders had horrible linebacker play last year. He's going to come in and fix a lot of the issues there. And like I said, just a gamer with a nose for the ball. He knows where to go. He can read the angles. He's got great angles. I absolutely loved him. It is a shame he is gone. Congratulations, Raiders, for getting a baller. So that's going to be my guy. Again, we only mentioned 4. Now, there's a lot of movers out there. You've got, Robbie Anderson signed with the Carolina Panthers. Nobody jumped on that one. Leonard Floyd became a Ram. Who else moved this year?
I got one.
Go ahead.
I'll just talk about really quick is underrated trade was Calais Campbell to the Ravens.
Yes.
That was already a stout defense, and they add a veteran presence like that is versatile, where you can kind of line them up all over that defensive front and let their new linebacker that somehow got drafted after Jordan Brooks, even though I was a Jordan Brooks fan, but after Jordan Brooks, man, Patrick Queen's going to have a lot of space to run around and make plays because of guys like Calais Campbell up front. So that Ravens defense got even nastier.
Right, dude. The nasty gets nastier. It's just ugly gets uglier. That's a good one. And one I'm surprised maybe Roy didn't take is Eric Ebron. I feel Ebron could be huge red zone for the Steelers going into the season.
The last time he had a competent quarterback, he caught 13 touchdowns for Cody's Indianapolis Colts.
Shots fired.
So,
fired. I just saw a free agent on a list. I'm about to shot fire at somebody in this group.
Uh-oh.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Greg Zuerlein to the Cowboys. Cowboys needed a kicker.
Megatron to Dallas.
Greg the leg.
Rough offseason for me. I lost Gurley, Jeezy, and Littleton all in the same offseason, man. You guys are gonna make me cry.
You have no linebackers, bro. I did the Rams for the prospect encyclopedia. You have
I took a look at
you guys are. You got DJ Reader and you got Micah Kaiser.
So
it's bad. Yeah, when I posted the poll the other day for the NFC West, I had to look up the Rams linebackers. I'm like, wait a minute, I actually got to do research. I can't look at like our lads and then know who I think's the best one on the roster.
It's rough. It is rough.
No, you have to actually watch film, and you have to go watch college film and special teams film.
I looked at Jack's 22, and I'm like, dude, apparently all we've drafted is O-linemen. Like, all we have is O-linemen. None of them stellar.
And you blast Chandler Butler, or Brewer.
Yeah.
And you like taking tight ends.
How about this? New faces, new places. I posted this. I'm not trying to go on the fantasy aspect, but I posted I've been posting pictures of these new faces and new places and their new jerseys on my Twitter. Go check out at Cody Talks NFL if you want to check them out.
Nice plug.
But my one I posted today was Gurley in a Falcons uniform. I know people have questions over his injury history, rightfully so. But like, if he can bounce back. And if that offensive line can somehow gel, that's a potentially scary offense in Atlanta.
I said on the breakdown the other day, Todd Gurley's going to have at least 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. That's base. That's the floor. I promise it's happening, guys. Todd Gurley is not washed yet. It's all right. It's all right. Y'all when I said last year,
hold on. Draft picks on the right side of the offensive line are not. They do not look too good.
When I said last year, that was Tannehill's job in Tennessee, y'all gave me the same answer. It's Todd Gurley, 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns, book it.
God bless him, because he's going to need a different offensive line because they're terrible.
That's fine.
It's bad. It's bad. The right side of that offensive line should not have been drafted where they got drafted. That is for sure. Caleb McGeary.
Yeah.
All right.
Might see their third-round pick take over Hennessy.
Got to talk about Jack Conklin before time runs out. Jack Conklin is going to be huge. Jack Conklin is going to be what saves Baker Mayfield's career. It ain't ending this year. I'm sorry, Roy. He's not getting benched. He's going to play. Case Keenum's going to be a coach, and he's going to have a microphone, and that's going to be it. Jack Conklin, especially with the addition of Jedrick Wills on the opposite side, that is going to do wonders for Baker, which is going to do wonders for OBJ, and there are 2 tight ends. and
Chubb
Juice
and Hunt
and you've got the two, beast of running backs that they're just going to feast. They have a stellar offensive line now. Grab 2 bookend tackles. They're solid. They're stacked. I think Jack Conklin, out of everybody we listed here, may have the biggest impact.
And also part of the reason the Titans are going to go south this year, in my opinion. Roy.
I got one other guy I got to mention, and it's a guy that left my Steelers, and he went cross-state to the Eagles. Mr. Javon Hargrave, getting to team up with Fletcher Cox. Javon Hargrave was played out of position with the Steelers. He played a lot of two-gapping nose tackle. That guy, when he came out of SC State, and when we drafted him, that dude had like 4 sacks in a game. So if he can play in a penetrating type defensive front like Philadelphia plays, especially with Fletcher Cox taking on double teams, that guy's going to maybe put up double-digit sacks this year, and don't be surprised by it.
Bro, it just feels like Philly collects D linemen like I collect Funko Pops. They're just like, let me have all of them. And I want to give shout-outs to Rance because he's been really active in the chat, and I don't really want to talk about this guy, but if we don't, we'll catch hell on Twitter. What do you guys think of Cam Newton and the Patriots? I saw the jersey, made me puke. Doesn't look good at all. It's a horrible look for you, Cam. But play-wise, what do you think, Jack? What are we expecting from Cam in New England?
I don't know. Has he got any weapons? No. Which offensive line does he got?
Did he ever have weapons in Carolina?
He's got Lamar Miller now. Shut down the world. The best signed Lamar Miller.
Except for McCaffrey. Except for the best offensive weapon in the entire NFL. Did he ever have any offensive weapons? No, he's always had like subpar B wide receivers. What does he have now?
C wide receivers.
An ancient Julian Edelman. And I don't know. Before all of the opt-outs, I was actually kind of getting a little excited. Like, if Cam Newton's healthy, the offense they're going to run with Cam Newton's going to fit his mold. They'll get a couple years out of him. This could be awesome. As that much as I hate that as a Patriots hater, like, I could see the hamster wheel was turning of the potential. But losing Marcus Cannon, Hightower, like, I know these, a lot of these guys don't affect Cam Newton necessarily, but the entire team is going to is not going to be as good. As soon as Cam Newton got there, you added a couple wins, and now after 8, 9, 10 opt-outs, you have to at least subtract 1 or 2. So I think that they're going to be 9-7 at best, probably make the playoffs as a wild card team, and it could still be Stidham's team, not too far into this season if Cam Newton ends up winning out initially.
Mayo, what do you think?
He's gonna win out.
Yeah, I think he's gonna win out too. It's Cam Newton. It's just what it is.
Yeah, it's revenge season for Cam, unfortunately. But I think it's revenge season as him proving that he's the talent that he still is. But because of everything that they lost, their Patriots. I lean towards those Patriots missing the playoffs. But I think the Patriots will be competitive because it is Bill Belichick. He just. How many years have I looked at that team and like, they don't want nobody, and they still somehow either won the Super Bowl or they made it to the playoffs. So I think he's going to evolve the offense around him. You got to keep in mind too, the offense coordinator Josh McDaniels, he was the one that drafted Tim Tebow. So he was already thinking back in the day that he would want a mobile quarterback to put his offense around. And something that's interesting to consider with these opt-outs, I didn't even think of. I'll give credit to Bucky Brooks. He brought this up. With them missing out, with them opening up all that cap space, if it gets to week 8 or week 9, and Cam is Cam, and they want to commit to him next year, they could sign a contract extension this year and front load the money. So
they could, or they could just
or they can move
franchising because there's not a no franchise clause in the deal. So, Roy, let me ask you in this fashion: what needs to happen for Cam to be successful? Who needs to step up? Do we need to see N'Keal Harry step up? Is it we need one of these aging running backs or Sony Michel to do something? Or what's the scenario where Cam succeeds in New England?
What was one of the areas that Cam Newton always targeted when he was the quarterback at the Carolina Panthers? Tight end. What is the Olsen. One thing in the New England's offense that they always feature the last 6-7 years? Tight ends. So the young guys in Devin Asiasi and my boy Dalton Keene, those two guys are going to be the monsters this year, especially Dalton Keene. If you've yet to watch him, pop the tape in of Virginia Tech. that guy could do some Greg Olsen light things. I'm not saying in year one, but maybe a few years from now. But I agree with Cody. Cam Newton is on a revenge tour. I think you're going to see him bounce back in a big way. I don't think it's going to mean team success. I think New England at best, in my opinion, is 7-9, 8-8. That defense just has taken too many hits to too many leaders. The offense has to have a lot of guys, young guys, really, shoot their shot this year, and really go above and beyond what maybe they are, the sum of the parts to really, become a upper half of the NFL team.
Oh, so what you mean is they need to play Belichick ball, which is what scares me about any time I say they're going to suck. That's the same scenario, though. Well, they have to have somebody step up that's not in a role and blah, blah. That's Belichick ball, so I'm always scared of them. So who knows? It's New England. They're probably going to be good again. But let's go ahead here.
Don't say it.
I'm not gonna say that's the end of the fourth quarter here. I do want to hit you guys real quick with one of our ad reads. Do you wear clothes? Shirts specifically. Do you like those shirts to have cool pictures on them? Of course you do, because you're a person of taste. You have standards that can't be met by purchasing a generic big box store's crappy gear. Step your game up this season with sweet new shirts from Blitzalytics. You can go on there and get our logo on a number of different colors, whatever you choose. You can get yours today at buyjack.com/collections/Blitzalytics. We even have a face mask if you want to get on there and buy one of those as well. I think it's only $10, so good deal as well. So let's go ahead. And like I said last week, we are going to have overtime every single week here because there's nothing better when you're at the bar watching a game with your buddies than when that fourth quarter rolls on over into fifth quarter. So let's start the overtime. We're going to be talking about the best remaining free agents and where their optimal landing spots are going to be. And obviously, we've still got a huge name out there in Jadeveon Clowney. The NFL did just, remove the restrictions for bringing in guys. So, I mean, could we see some movement here in the next few days, Jack, now that that's been lifted?
I don't know. You think that Jadeveon Clowney and some of these other guys got to find a home here soon? I do not think that there's any way he doesn't, but I mean, sooner or later he's got to drop the asking price or he's going to be sitting around while everybody's getting in football shape. So
I'll say I don't know about that. Somebody made a good point, man, with all those defensive ends and edge rushers and defensive linemen that have opted out. He's actually kind of found himself some leverage at this point.
Yeah, but who is it? Who are the teams? I mean, are we talking about him going to New England? I mean, where is he gonna go if for the
I was
gonna
say
out?
New England would be the scariest place he could go because you put him on a defense with Stephon Gilmore. There's a Belichick move, being his ability to play up and down the line of scrimmage. I'd like to see him go to Tennessee. I could see that definitely being a fit. But don't sleep on maybe the Philadelphia Eagles, who, like Rob always says, always rotates them pass rushers. They do have Brandon Graham, who's a little older. They just signed Vinny Curry, who's kind of past his prime. So they're always looking for pass rushers. And there was even a rumor not too long ago that the Raiders might have been sniffing around at him. So that would be kind of interesting, kind of as a young mentor type for Clelin Ferrell and the beast that he is, Max Crosby.
Well, if I'm going off for him, if you want to talk about money, I just pulled up overthecap.com. Browns got the most space. They have $40 million in space, and I've been harping him and Myles Garrett lined up across from each other. That'd be pretty scary to deal with. The Jets make sense, too. They got the fourth most cap space, and they have absolutely no edge rush at all. So,
CJ Mosley,
how about Buffalo?
Yeah. What's that? Buffalo?
Buffalo has over 30 million cap space right now.
Yeah, Buffalo. That would
Star Latula,
their defensive front's already. Yeah, exactly. And that way they don't have to depend on AJ Epinesa stepping up. Trent Murphy's a little long in the tooth. I'm gonna go ahead and say it, man. We got $22 million in cap space. We give him a 1-year deal. If the Colts can get him with Deforest Buckner and Justin Houston and D'Amico Autry and Kamiko Toure and don't get me. I don't want to stand up in front of you guys right now.
Oh my goodness, Cody!
It's a family show.
Oh my goodness!
And now for the scheduled pray break for Cody Manning.
Yeah. Oh Lord. Oh,
But another guy I'll go ahead and we want to move on from Clowney is how I don't understand it, that's not signed right now is Logan Ryan.
Yeah.
He's versatile. He's got the stat production, and he could immediately help out any secondary that needs help right now. It's baffling to me that he's not signed.
Does anybody have an inclination as to why?
But he said the other day, he came out and said he wanted to be considered a safety more. That he played a lot of nickel corner last year, so I don't know, maybe, if that's turning teams off, that he wants to be playing a certain position. But I really think a late career type move like Kareem Jackson that went to the Broncos from Houston, who used to be a corner, played safety in 1 year down there and got a nice contract. That's a quality player that you can add to that secondary. And, I mean, he's going to be starting over a lot of players that are out there right now. So he's, even a young team could use him. Maybe even like the Carolina Panthers that could use just a little bit of leadership.
The Texans,
absolutely. That's what I mean. There's a lot of teams, even I'll throw it out there, the Cardinals. I mean, they have a lot of teams that have they have two young safeties in Deontay Thompson and Jalen Thompson, could use a little bit of nurturing in the right way.
I do want to let you guys know. So we're running congruently here with Hard Knocks, I guess, because Schefter tweeted out that Anthony Lynn reveals in the opening scene on Hard Knocks that he was infected with COVID-19. So that's obviously going to be a huge theme of the show. So sorry to sidetrack you, but that did come out. Obviously, again, that's a huge theme of the show. There's a couple of names here I want to get your guys' reaction on, right? First, let's talk about a couple of, we'll use the word troubled receivers, are both out there and both been linked possibly to the Seahawks. Josh Gordon making a return or Antonio Brown showing up. Which of these guys, either of these guys, both of these guys, would you give another chance to and on what team?
I still think with the thing with Antonio Brown, it's an 8-game suspension. From my understanding, that starts no matter what, if he's on a team or not. So if the team wants to wait and see if they're going to make a playoff push and they need wide receiver help, they should. A team that maybe could be in playoff contention that we brought up that might not win as many games next year or this year is the Packers. Can you imagine Antonio Brown and Devontae Adams with Aaron Rodgers on a revenge tour? That's a scary thought, but they would have to be, in contention to win for the playoffs.
He is so not a Green Bay type, though. But I see it. I get exactly what you're talking about. It's scary. Then it instantly turns it around. And you're like, oh God, Aaron Rodgers finally has the one wide receiver he's always needed. But there's no way. I would bet the house. I would put everything on the line says that does not happen. But it would be a scary thought.
Yeah, I really see their only Antonio Brown, to answer your question, Rob. I would give him another chance any day of the week. And I'm even talking about with my Steelers. I would give him another chance. He's that good. I know as bad as a headache as he was, that talent speaks for itself, even being out of the league. And between the Ravens and the Seahawks, which is the only two, I think, organizations that will give him a job, I really hope it's the Seahawks because I do not want to see Baltimore sign him. That would be an absolutely nightmare for any team, not only the AFC North, to try to combat that running game with a receiver that can get open like that late. Lamar Jackson would be putting up, even more bonker numbers. I think Seattle.
Let's just go ahead and make the NFC West harder. Let's do that.
I'm a Russell Wilson fan. I want to see him. I want to see him get some weapons and really, just let him turn it loose out there.
Right.
Shut up, he's already got weapons.
So obviously, given the choice, you take Antonio Brown between him and Josh Gordon, right? Talent is not even close. It's not even close.
No.
With the fact that the NFL's like, oh, we really don't care about weed anymore, do you give my boy a shot again? Or is it kind of, we saw what we had, he kind of is past his prime, he lost a step. Would you give him another shot or no? Josh Gordon.
Oh, yeah, I give Josh Gordon another chance. But if I had to choose between the two, I'd be definitely giving AB. Josh Gordon still has something, left in the tank with his size and his ability to win late, up and over people. And I'm not so sure he still has the dynamic speed as he had in that 1 year where he led the NFL in receiving yards with Cleveland. But he definitely could be a solid number 2 or even a third option in an offense. That
where would you stick
sometimes.
him?
Oh man,
Washington is kind of light. I mean, I know they got our boy Gandy Goldman. I mean, I know they got him. They got Scary Terry, but
what after? Like a room full of running backs, right? And that's it. So I like Washington too.
Eagles.
You know what team I'll go ahead and say too that's weak in their wide receiving core that I said that might be competing for the playoffs is the Cleveland Browns.
Ooh, bring old JG back. Let's finish this up.
How are they weak in their their wide receiving core?
Well,
if OBJ gets hurt like he always gets hurt, or Jarvis Landry is not the same after his hip injury, like there's nothing behind them. We talked about this last week. That wide receiving core
they're very top heavy. Yeah, they're super top heavy.
How about
we're giving Cam Newton the benefit of the doubt after going 2 straight years of being injured. He's going to come back and be on a revenge tour.
Well, Cam Newton is like. Even his revenge tour is going to be a lot of sneaking touchdowns. Are you trying to say
you do remember AB scored that touchdown in the one Patriots game? He went off with them last year.
Oh, I know. I'm saying that the same your guys' same argument doesn't apply when you're saying that OBJ and Juice are injury prone and that's likely could happen. So you would stack that wide receiving core, but Cam Newton is on a revenge tour of the Patriots, even though he's been injured the last 2 seasons.
I know you're on Stidham corner, so stop being butthurt over that.
Nah, I feel like you and me have created this rivalry. You created this rivalry for a while. I didn't nothing. You lies. This is lies.
This animosity.
This animosity
starts
to Tampa Bay.
Yes, exactly.
Why are you yelling, Mom and Dad? Why are you yelling?
As my brother says, when me and my wife get to getting snippy with each other, you're both pretty guys. Let it go.
Hey, one name I want to bring up though, if you need an edge rusher. And you cannot, you don't want to pay the Clowney tag price is Everson Griffin, man. That guy has always been a stud throughout his career. He's a veteran edge rusher that you can probably get for pretty close to the bare minimum for whatever he is worth, which not that much. I mean, we saw Mike Daniels get $2.7 million today. I think he's worth a little bit more than that. But if you need an edge rush, I would be happy to go get him. And Clay Matthews is out there too. Damon Harrison. There's some good guys you can go fill defensive line with.
How about a safety? Tony Jefferson, if he's healthy, has been a high quality safety. You look at a lot of these guys, that are starting for safeties around here. I'd take him every day of the week over Terrell Edmonds in Pittsburgh. So and Houston, that's right there's your cutout for a guy who could be a day one starter. As long as he's healthy off his knee injury.
Well, let's talk about another guy who clearly doesn't understand his value. Does Devontae Freeman find a home at all? Because he still thinks he's number one running back money. Does he cave at some point? And if he does, is there a situation where you would like his prospects better than another team?
I think he's waiting on it. He's waiting on an injury.
That's
almost guaranteed.
You just took the words out of my mouth. I think he's waiting for that first running back to drop. Like, I hope it doesn't, because I got so much high expectations for him this year. But for example, if anything happens to Miles, why did I just go blank?
Miles Sanders,
from Philadelphia. That he's already been connected to Philadelphia, so I could see that happening.
Roy, any where would you stick him? And is he still a starting level running back? Like, because he's expecting to, in my opinion, far more than
who I see him as is D'Angelo Williams when he came to the Steelers. He's a high quality backup. Could maybe start a game or two for you, but I do not see him being a starter for you consistently over the course of a season. Like, he's always going to be that high. A team maybe like Buffalo, like we said, has a lot of cap space. They have Zach Moss as a youngster behind Singletary. But if you want some sure production in that backfield with Josh Allen, maybe a team like that. But I don't know. He's really priced himself out. I think his agent really did him in, and he got rid of him after that. But it's rough to find work for a running back who thinks that they're valuable, anything over the vet minimum at this point.
Yeah,
another guy who hasn't played 2 straight years and hasn't had a 1,000-yard season until 2016. You're just not going to find a home until somebody gets hurt. Another running back who's often injured, and this would be a perfect fit, would be the Minnesota Vikings. Anything happens to Dalvin Cook,
Michael Boone.
Madison,
They got
too, right?
Boone in it. Hey, check out
Madison.
the prospect encyclopedia. Alexander Madison's my number 5 prospect. He's a solid starter. And then Michael Boone, I think, is in the number 15, if I remember right. But that's for you guys to buy the book and read
All
about
right,
it.
so we are almost wrapped up here. I do want to get in one more kind of newsy topic that may be on here. Have we seen the last of Darius Geis? Jack?
Yes. Plain and simple. Yes. He's I think he's done. Too many injuries. I think this goes down as one of the worst NFL careers of all time. If what is being, I mean, he turned himself in to these charges, so we have to assume that there's some truth to this. He could likely serve prison time. I don't think that he plays another snap.
Mayo?
Agreed. With the little stuff I've read into it, it's already disturbing. So, yeah, with his injury history, I just don't see it happening at all, unless like he somehow gets proven innocent. But from what I've read, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's looking bleak. Roy, real quick, we got about 40 seconds here. Wrap us up.
Yeah. Yeah, he's gone. You're never going to see him in an NFL jersey, let alone even XFL. Don't even slander that out there. He hurt his knee again before they released him, and it wasn't once, twice, 3 times that he strangled his girlfriend, one being unconscious. No thank you. Show some class, grow up, be a man. I hope you felt better because that was terrible. You never hit a woman.
Yeah, right. We've heard Stephen A. for years. Stay off the damn weed. Maybe he should change that to just don't smack your wife, guys. Like, it's not hard. Like, just learn from something. So, well, that's going to do it, man. That wraps us up 2-1, and boom, there's the horn. That's the end of overtime today. So let me go ahead. I'm going to knock out another ad read here since we didn't get a commercial in. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Blitzalytics. Hey, man, do you have a dream of having a career covering your favorite sport? Do you love to write or podcast but don't have a way to advertise or publish or get your name out there? If you think you have what it takes to be on your own show, you ever imagine being the next Mike Tanier, Marcus Grant, or God forbid, I just mentioned his name, Stephen A. Smith. Do you want to be part of an ever-growing team of people who feel the exact same way as you do? Well, if you answered yes to one or more of those questions, let us help you. Blitzalytics is always looking to add talented, hardworking, driven individuals who are looking to chase their dream with us. Go to www.blitzalytics.com/sign-up. That's sign and then dash up. Answer a few quick questions. Let's get you on your path to success. Maybe you can be a featured guest on this wonderful program here. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to end this thing. I'm going to let you guys say your goodbyes, plug what you want to plug, and then we'll be out of here. Jack, I'm going to come to you, then Mayo, then Countryman.
Shout out to our main sponsors, Key City Brewing, Drink, Rebel, Repeat. Love you guys. Wearing the hat. Check out the hat. Outside of that, Prospect Encyclopedia, only place you can get it is, well, everywhere actually. Barnes & Noble, Blitzalytics, Amazon, BookBaby. It's going to be available all over the place, so check it out. Check out our team preview that we're going to be dropping here very shortly. We're giving a whole team for free. So check it out if you like it. Buy the whole book, buy another team, buy all the teams individually. However you want to do it. I really don't mind. I appreciate the support. Thank you, guys. I love you all, and I hope everybody's safe during these hard times.
And you can see it right there at Jack Bourgeois, BOOSHWA on Twitter. Follow my man. Mayo.
Yeah, so Jack already previewed the book. Also, what I guess I'll plug for Blitzalytics is please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Not only our YouTube channel, but also our Blitzalytics podcast network. If you search that at Google, you'll see all these type of platforms we're on: Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, you name it, we're on it. We got the Blitz Breakdown on there, the Pick Six podcast. Me and Rob are currently doing the Fantasy Football Hot Seat, but we will be rebranding after these last couple episodes right before the season kicks off. So stay tuned for that. My podcast will be coming back shortly in a timely manner. I'm kind of just waiting for real football to be back, I think, before I dive into that. But I will be back on the Cody Talks NFL at least a week before the season starts, when we actually have real stuff to report on, because I am not a doctor and I'm not going to pretend like I know COVID-19.
Fair enough. And of course, you can follow my boy on Twitter at Cody Talks NFL. Roy.
Well, Cody might not be a doctor, but I think I might, just make him one in Doctor of Scouting and in the encyclopedia business, because these two masterminds help bring this whole book together. Jack already plugged it, but make sure that you're keeping tabs with us. Sign up if you haven't already. Get us your contact info, so as soon as we get that link, we can get it to you for the Prospect Encyclopedia. As Rob said, Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl champions. Free preview tomorrow. It'll be yours. Make sure you're keeping tabs on that. And my video series, the Steel City Sermon, will be soon coming back as well. Kind of the same boat as Cody, waiting for some real news, although we've been really focusing in on Big Ben's arm the last few days. So that's probably going to be a topic of conversation. And as I like to end all my series is here, stay humble, be a blessing, guys.
And, of course, you can follow him at Preacher Boy Roy on Twitter. They've mentioned that book a lot. Also makes a great gift, so you got some football fan in your life, go on and pick it up. They're going to love it. It's 418 pages. It makes a wonderful addition to the top of your desk. It's beautiful. You can follow me, of course, at Rob Graphics. Going to go ahead and plug it. You can find my stuff by jack.com/collection/Rob Graphics. Got a lot of crazy t-shirts on there, from football down to cartoons. So whatever you're looking for, check it out. It has been an absolute pleasure to be back with you guys again for episode. I almost said season 2, trying to kick it in the ass here. For episode 2 of Football Happy Hour. And again, we ask that if you did enjoy yourself, there's a little subscribe button down there on YouTube. To the right-hand side, there's also a bell, so if you'll strike that, it'll give you notifications every time we go live. So if you forget next Tuesday at 9/8 Central, YouTube will remind you. We look forward to seeing you again next Tuesday, 9/8 Central, for the Football Happy Hour. On behalf of Jack Bourgeois, Cody Manning, and Roy Countryman, I wish you guys a wonderful evening. Stay safe, and come on, let's have some football.
What's out?